This is IGN at San Diego Comic-Con 2025. If you think turning a 500-page hard sci-fi novel about the end of the human race into a fun movie-going experience sounds like a suicide mission, well, you're not half wrong. Here to tell us about Project Hail Mary, please welcome the crack team of experts assembled to pull it off, directors Christopher Miller and Phil Lord, and writer Drew Goddard. Welcome.
Happy to be here. Glad to be here.
Okay, so this is the adaptation of the book by Andy Weir, who did The Martian. Ridley Scott turned that into a movie, and I would say it's maybe the funniest, most upbeat Ridley Scott movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And based on the trailer, this is definitely it looks heavier. It's definitely higher stakes than what I'm used to seeing from you guys. Can you talk a little bit about finding that balance between tragedy and comedy? And I guess, where's it gonna land?
They are friends.
It is true.
And comedy, yeah.
I mean, what's interesting we found in everything that we've been doing for our whole career is that we always start with emotion, and things are only funny if you care and if there's something emotional about it. And what's great about the movie is that it is a big emotional journey, but that's when the comedy comes out of the reality of the moment. Everybody's gone through tragedy in their life. Everybody's gone through hard times, but there's always something funny about it, and that's how life is. And if you don't tell the truth, it just doesn't feel right.
Great answer, Chris.
Oh, thanks, Phil.
So Drew, you also wrote The Martian, worked with Ridley Scott on that. Can you talk a little bit about what's it like adapting an Andy Weir book about a guy in space, with Lord and Miller versus making an Andy Weir book about a guy in space with Ridley Scott? How do their approaches differ?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, you got to start with the book. And I tend to not adapt anything I don't love. And I love Andy's work. So every book is different. In this particular case, without giving too much away, there are some characters in this book, or one character in particular, that is screaming out for Chris and Phil to create it. Frankly, I don't think there's any other directors on the planet that could have pulled this movie off. And so when you know that, quite honestly, it's less about worrying about anything and more about just letting them cook, quite honestly, because that's what they do. It's that mixture, as Chris said, it's that mixture of comedy and drama, all told through the lens of emotion, first and foremost.
Nice. This book, I think, resonates with a lot of people because it's really smart. Andy Weir does his homework and he shows his work, and there's some really complex scientific concepts in there. How do you make that digestible to moviegoers?
I think what's helpful for me is that I'm really dumb. And so as a result, I can actually, the amount of times I have to say, Andy, can you explain this to me? And by him explaining to me, I go, okay, I think I've got it. I can now pass it on. Because I've learned, as long as the emotion's true, the rest of it is, because we know Andy gives us such a comfortable safety net, all we have to do is just sort of put that on screen, and it sort of takes care of itself.
Nice. Now, I'm actually curious because, there are real scientific concepts at play here. There's hard math, there's hard chemistry and all that. Which is more challenging from a storytelling perspective, working in the confines of reality or dealing with an existing established, fantastical universe like, Star Wars or Marvel, where there's lore and fandoms and style guides and all that?
Yeah, I think both have incontrovertible truths that must be obeyed, right? They both have canon. There is no more exacting audience than physics, right? So what was really important to us is we wanted the physics and the realities that Andy created to make our creativity stronger. To use them as creative provocations, to never eliminate one of those things because it was convenient for the filmmaking. We thought that it was really exciting that it made the filmmaking challenging, that it makes the problem solving of the screenplay hard. That's kind of our kink.
All right, I'm not gonna kink shame there. Are there any existing sort of sci-fi movies, or I guess just fiction in general, that tonally or stylistically you're drawing from with Hail Mary?
I mean, I don't think that we're trying to emulate any one particular movie. The book and the story that is our real guide. We had an amazing team to make it look like nothing you've ever seen before. We're always trying to do something in anything we do that feels like like you haven't seen it anywhere. And, Greg Fraser, the cinematographer, and Charlie Wood, the production designer, our VFX supervisor Paul Lambert, who worked with Greg on the Dune movies. They're all like the best in the world at what they do, and all we wanted to do was something that felt new and fresh to all of us, and so that was really our guiding light.
A big touchstone was that the movie is not a Mac, it's a PC. Like it's a machine. The ship is a machine. There's like complexities that are visible to the audience. We're not trying to like buff them out. Like when there were like weird edges, we embraced them. The movie's very beautiful, but it's not pretty, and it's not ever like slick.
I love that. I absolutely get it, and I love it. That's a really cool way of putting it. I want to talk about the ship a little bit, the titular Hail Mary. It's described in wonderful detail in the book, and it's, I don't know, I love the description of spaces in fiction and writing. What was it like kind of bringing that to life and really like creating the physical space?
I mean, it was really important to us that the ship be real, and it was all sets that we really built so that Ryan could interact with the space and have it feel like it was a tactile thing and it wasn't just a big like green screen thing. So it was all really there, and because of the way that the ship worked and the way that we had worked it out, it had two different orientations of gravity because of the sort of centrifugal spin of the ship, and so at a certain point the floor becomes the wall and the wall becomes the floor, and so we had to build these sets and then take them down and then turn them on their sides and then build them again. So the scale of it and the ambition of it was insane.
We actually made the movie more inconvenient than the book would have made it. And it just meant that like every time we're designing a set with Charlie Wood, who's the production designer, it meant that we had to like tilt our head like this and be like, how would this work when the gravity turns the other way?
Were you ever considering doing like the Fred Astaire Inception entire moving set?
That was discussed, I
Okay.
would say. But and we do. There are some moments in the movie where that transition is made, and it's some very memorable and beautiful stuff.
Nice. Now I want to. Again, this is tricky to talk about. There's an element in the film.
Yes.
Element might be the right word. Several elements. Who knows? A character who makes a very brief appearance in the trailer, and some people are like, "That's a spoiler." Rocky.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're watching this and you haven't read the book and you don't want to know anything else, just maybe go do something else until next year when the movie comes out, or just read the book. That's also an option. Let's talk about Rocky. He's being portrayed by James Ortiz.
James Ortiz was the lead puppeteer and performer of the alien that we built with Neil Scanlon, the Lucasfilm Creature Shop, and there's a team of 5 puppeteers that took him to bring him to life. And so he was there on set every day, a scene partner for Ryan. And again, like building the sets, the fact that he was really there is like, it brought out so much and so much spontaneity and so much realism, and it made it a really, really special thing. And he's a character that, he has no eyes, no mouth, he has no face, but you fall in love with him, and by the end you're like, I would die for him.
Yeah. Drew, how do you write a character like that for the screen who has no mouth but must talk to Ryan Gosling?
Yeah, in some ways it's a screenwriting nightmare because not only do you not have a mouth, you don't have a face, right? So how do you communicate? And I think the thing that unites us is the very thing that makes it hard is the thing that makes it special. Like the challenge is what gets us all excited. And so honestly, it comes back to Andy's book. I'm a big believer that the book is about empathy and about seeing something from someone else's point of view, even if that other person is a cosmic alien who has no relation to humans whatsoever. That's the point. And so every scene is about empathy. And when you kind of look at it through that lens, it takes care of itself.
Right. In order for Ryan and Rocky to complete this mission, Ryan has to imagine how Rocky is thinking. He has to imagine like what Rocky sees or hears, and that act, right, makes you like step outside of yourself and try to understand another person's point of view.
Nice. I want to talk about, like, I guess structurally, chronologically, like a big core part of this is amnesia, having flashbacks, and kind of piecing the story together. How are you approaching that? Are these sort of like snippets? Is it kind of an even balance between past and present?
What's so amazing about the book is how it's like this unfolding mystery, and he's having more memories as he goes on, and the audience learns with Ryland Grace what happened and how he got onto the ship and what the full story is. And it's the same way in the movie. We start with him waking up from a coma, completely unsure where he is or what's going on or even who he is, and the movie sort of goes back and forth between the past and the present as he's starting to piece it all together, and we get a full understanding of the whole story.
Nice. Well, you guys collectively have done some incredible work, and it's an incredible book, so I'm really excited to see how it all comes together. Thank you so much for joining us here. And yeah,
our pleasure.
Project Hail Mary hits theaters on March 20th, which gives you plenty of time to read the book and brush up on your astrophysics. But right now, there's more San Diego Comic-Con coming up on IGN.